Hello and welcome to this week's Grumpy Sound Guy show. I am coming to you from my front porch here in the metropolis of Inwood, West Virginia. It's a beautiful day. There's still some snow on the ground in the background. I am really super enjoying these warmer temperatures, looking forward to spring coming and that sort of thing. So today we're going to talk about the Allen Heath SQ. and We did a review, actually a two-part review and conversation on the Behringer Wing, and I had told you guys back then to kind of, hold your, if we're getting some wind here, please just kind of bear with me. I told you guys that, hold your horses, that we were going to get something else from another manufacturer that was going to maybe be better and maybe give us a little bit more bang for our buck. So, the SQ rack is kind of looking like that piece of equipment. So stick around. We're going to dig into everything Allen Heath today, and you're not going to want to miss a second of today's show. It's going to be very interesting. Hey guys, if I could have literally 60 seconds of your time here just to ask you to please subscribe to the channel. It costs absolutely nothing to subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell so you can help us give you more of this content on the free side of the channel. Also, if you're really digging what we're doing here and you're digging the Grumpy Sound Guy content, please consider joining the membership side of the YouTube channel. It costs about $5 a month, so about the price of a Starbucks cup of coffee or whatever. You can become an inner circle supporter of the Grumpy Sound Guy and the content that I'm putting up. We'll get all kinds of really cool one-on-one live chat stuff in there, group chat stuff, all that sort of thing. Plus you'll get content that is posted there that will never become public, so make sure you get over there and check that out. And thank you for supporting everything that I'm doing here with the Grumpy Sound Guy. Welcome back. So, Allen Heath. When they released the SQ, there was this whole cult thing that just immediately developed around that line of mixers, mainly because it was a 96K mixer. It was a significant upgrade from the QU mixers, and believe me, they were way beyond the point where they should have been putting out something more updated than the QU. So the SQ comes along and everybody kind of flocks to it like it's the holy grail of middle market consoles. I'm not going to sit here for a second and try to pull your leg and tell you that it's not a great console, because it is. But at the same time, I'm just not seeing it as the holy grail. I don't think it hits all the buttons that we need it to hit here in the middle market. I just don't, so then Behringer kind of comes out with the wing rack. That got all the wing guys, all up in arms about that. Now that's going to be the latest, greatest, mixer of all time, and, blah, blah, blah. And the thing is, man, some of you guys live and die on the hill of whatever gear that it is you own. And that's fine, man. I mean, I understand that, you spent your hard-earned money on a wing or a wing rack or whatever it is that you decide to buy, and you just want to believe that that's the best mixer, in the middle market. Well, it might be the best mixer for your application and for your preferred workflow, but that doesn't necessarily make it the best mixer on the market. In the middle market, the SQ probably brings more features to the table and gets it closer than anybody. But at the same time, I think we need to have a conversation about Allen Heath's issues that they have had over the years. I know a whole bunch of guys that had issues with the iLive stuff, and these are bigger upper echelon consoles, really kind of reaching outside the middle market unless you're in like a big super church with a really cool budget and stuff. Um, I know they had crazy fail rate, on those things. I know guys that I got a buddy of mine that was a house guy who literally quit his job as a house guy because they brought in an Allen Heath mixer when they did an upgrade. When they had, I forget what it was they had before, but they should have went M32, which is what I think he was hoping for, just for the simplistic sake. Not that it's the greatest console in the world, because it's not, but that it's most rider friendly, and everybody knows the workflow. And when you have band engineers coming in, you don't have to stand there and giving them an education on how to use the console. Most guys are really familiar with that XM format already, and that's really, their whole claim to fame, at this stage of the game. And they're just dependable. They're workhorses. They get it done. So, yeah, he quit his job because they went with an Allen Heath desk, and everybody has problems, man. There are no sacred cows in this world. There are no consoles that are going to come out and going to last for, the next 30 years and, never give you a problem and stuff like that. That stuff died with analog. It just did. Analog was the only thing that lasted that long, and you had to buy a really good analog desk to get that. I know guys that still have, some analog desks from, back in the 80s that work as good today as what they did then, because they've been well taken care of and kept in cases and, and things like that. But, moving forward to where we are now with rack mixers is where everyone's wanting to be these days, in the middle market, because of simplistic sake. We don't need a big, obnoxious console out front to mix with. That's really unnecessary. Most people don't want to set up a front of house tech booth like they used to. They would much rather put you at a table with an iPad and that sort of thing. And these rack mixers kind of get us there. They really do. I do not, let me just say this, because people just blow me up over this. This is a paper review of the SQ. I do not have an SQ in front of me. I don't have any time, or I don't have much time on the SQ series as a whole. One of the guys that works for me has an SQ5. He absolutely raves about it, loves it. It's like, I don't have to own a Ferrari to know that a Ferrari is a really cool sports car. And I don't have to own every console on the planet to be able to take a look at it and tell you whether or not the thing works or not. I know people with Land Rovers, and Range Rovers and that sort of stuff, and they're super nice vehicles, but I also know they have a historic record for failure and for breaking down and for being a problem. And I have never owned a Range Rover or a Land Rover to be able to attest to that, but you can get online and you can talk around the community and you can find guys that will give you honest reviews of their gear. I'm a freaking huge Midas guy, and just had a conversation with a pro touring buddy of mine and said that the first two HD96s that they got out of the box failed on them on their first shows. Again, there's no sacred cows. You know what I'm saying? There's no one is right all the time, and I absolutely love that. At HD96, they did just come out, Midas, as a sidebar here. I'm going to talk about my whole NAMM review thing is going to be on the member side of the channel this week. So, if you want to get an in-depth review of all the stuff that I have seen come to the market through NAMM, last week, then make sure that you're a paid member of the YouTube channel, and you can get over there and hear me talk about the new stuff from Shure. We'll talk some about the SQ, and we're going to talk about a whole bunch of other stuff that has come out. Midas came out with a scaled down version of the Heritage HD96. We're going to talk about that. All that stuff in the member video this week, so make sure you get over and check that out. But yeah, so I'm going to say that I don't have to have it in front of me to know whether or not it's going to work for me or not. I've seen the SQ workflow. I know what it's like. I have had my hands on one, you know, so there is that. Um, but I just don't think that, you know, Allen and Heath gave us the Holy Grail, you know. It only has 16 inputs, which is a serious buzzkill. They really, the SQ rack really looks like it's more geared toward install, you know, where you have a control surface screen on the front of it that's really eating up a bunch of rack space in that thing, so people can run the mixer from, you know, from that control surface on the front of it. I guess in a install situation where you need to just kind of simplify what's going on and people can get things up and going, you know, easily that way. I'm sure that has value to install guys. I have a 2 o'clock appointment today to meet a local brewery about doing an install in their place. So I get it. You know, that probably has a pretty good application that way, as long as you don't need more than 16 inputs. But you know, I keep begging everybody, and I said this in previous videos, I said this in the wing review videos, you know, give us a core, you know, and a 32 by 16 stage box and just be done with it. You know, and the stage box configuration with Allen and Heath is not friendly to that, because you got to buy a 24 and then a 16 to get to 32. I don't even know if they make an 8. I think they make a 16 and a 24 and a 48. So, and then guys argue, well, the SQ's a 48 channel console, so just get the 48 channel, you know, box and blah, blah, blah and all that. And I'm like, okay, that'd be great if I was doing nationals all the time, but dude, I'm mixing cover bands and regional tribute bands and stuff like that most of the time. I don't need any more than 32 channels. Most of the time I can fit even the bigger, you know, tribute bands into 26, 28 channels. Why do I need 48 channels? See, it doesn't make sense to the middle market sound guy. And that's who I represent in my content, is the middle market sound guy. That's why you see guys, you know, running around here with these PreSonus 32Rs rack mixers, because it's 32 by 16 on the front of the freaking unit, dude. You know, look at what Mackey's done with their DL line. You know, they got 32 by whatever it is, 12 or whatever it is on the front of their mixers. How come those companies can get it right, but then a company like, you know, Allen and Heath just totally misses that? Maybe they feel like they want a mixer that can reach up into Pro Touring to some degree, as well as the middle market. But I can tell you right now, I'm not going to go spend $3,000 or whatever it is on an SQ rack, and then go spend another $2,500 or $3,000 on a 48 channel, you know, stage box, or 24 channel stage box. You know, I didn't even look the prices up before, you know, the video, because it's just completely irrelevant to my world. So for all of its glory and all of its, you know, beautiful features that it brings to the table in 96K, which, you know, you guys hear me talk a lot about 96K. I only say that because I know that's the future. And 96K gives us a lot of options when flying in outboard, you know, waves plugins and things like that, and you know, gives us supposed to give us less latency and all this kind of stuff and everything. But I mean, I know guys that have mixed, you know, Grammy award-winning albums, you know, 48K desks. Whole bunch of them, actually, you know. So no audience member is going to come to you at any point, even the armchair sound guys that show up at your gig to critique you, is not going to, you know, stand there and say, man, your mix would have been so much better if it was 96K. No one knows, dude. Shut up. Okay? Like, come on, you know. But it is the future, and I do think that's where things are trying to head. It's not a make it or break it feature for me in my world, but I'm also smart enough to know that, you know, we're coming to a time where probably within the next 5 to 8 years, almost all the middle market consoles are going to be at 96K. At least that's my speculation. That's my prophecy, you know, for middle market desks. The SQ brings a bunch of, you know, stuff to the table that's super cool, man. You know, and I really like the, you know, the design, the architecture, you know, and stuff like that. But it's still not enough to pull me off of my gaggle of M32 stuff. Because, you know, I also have seen band engineers show up at the gig, and the production guy's got an SQ6 or 7 or something out front, and the guy's just kind of like, man, you mind if I unpack my M32 and just give you a left-right? It has not taken on a role where, as the masses tend to accept certain consoles as an industry standard, the SQ is just not there yet. I mean, maybe in another 5 years it'll be like that. I don't know. My crystal ball is broken, you know. But I think the thing that the SQ rack fails most at, and the SQ series fails most at, is that it's not accepted as an industry standard yet. You know, so you still have guys that would rather unpack an X32, producer or a compact or something, because they're just more familiar with the workflow than they would to sit there and try and, guinea pig their way through, a console that they're not familiar with. And I see that sort of scenario playing out quite a bit, even inside, X and M32 ecosystems. I see guys that still want to unpack their own mixer just for the sake of they have their own show file there. That's all. Everything's just kind of already set it and forget it, and they'd rather mix on their own mixer. But I think the SQ rack kind of missed it with inputs. They could have at least put 24 on there, which still wouldn't have hit the mark for me. But I'm just not seeing anything there, man, that makes me want to leave what I already have in place and is already working, already making me money, to go and run to a different ecosystem or a different sphere of gear. Yeah, man, I'm going to be into it for, $6-7 grand just trying to get outfitted to, 32 channels. That's not a company that has the middle market guys' needs and desires at the center of their design process. And it's obvious that that's not the center of their design process. Their design process is upper echelon, middle market, and maybe lower tier, pro touring. To where us guys that are out here doing, 160, 80 shows a year, in the middle market, we just don't need all the buzzers and whistles that are coming with the SQ. Is it nice to have? Sure. If you got a big time government job and you got money to burn, by all means, dude, go rock it out. I'm not mad at you. I have some buddies of mine that have a band, and they're carrying around 60 grand worth of, monitor console and front of house console, and they're playing the local Moose Lodge. Spend your money however you want to spend your money. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. It's no skin off my back. It's cool to go to their gigs and watch them, do what they do. It's so overkill that it's comical. But hey, man, I'm not mad at them. Go do what you do, man. I mean, and if SQ is the holy grail in your world, by all means, don't blow me up. Look, I'm just giving you my honest opinion, because I think there's guys out there who are struggling to, meet band budgets and venue budgets and promoter budgets and stuff like that. Like everybody wants the best deal. It's a highly competitive market. We're fighting against the ankle biters all the time that are using, subpar gear and don't even know how to use subpar gear to the best of its ability. And you can't expect that guy to walk away from one manufacturer like the M32 and Midas to go and jump on the ship of the SQ Wing just because it's the latest, greatest, shiny toy in the toy box. When you're not really even taking what we do into consideration. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have a problem paying $3 or $4 grand for a mixer, but I want it to meet all my desired design features, Like, you could take the SQ and get it all into one rack space as far as the brains of the thing, the core of it. And then give me a 3 rack space of a 32 by 16 stage box, make it all one unit. You're only talking 4 rack spaces, make sure it has plenty of internal fans to cool it and keep it cool, because when we get out here on an August or July afternoon, we need that cooling, features. A buddy of mine bought a Behringer Wing, and the first thing he did was pull it apart and put, fans inside of it, installed fans in it, because it didn't come with any internal fans. Dude, that's an epic fail. That's an epic fail for guys that are out here in the trenches in the summertime. Here, even in the mid-Atlantic, I mean, we had a whole bunch of festivals this past year that were up, 98 to 115 with the heat index. We have a ton of humidity in our area because we're nestled right up against the Appalachian Mountains. So, I mean, we get hot in the summer, and we need gear that can survive that. So, if you're going to build this stuff, build it in a manner to where it can take that kind of heat. God bless my buddies down in Florida, who are dealing with 100-degree heat and sand and rain every day and all that kind of stuff and everything. And they're like desperately trying to keep, gear working and that sort of thing. You need to build a unit that's durable enough to be able to do that, and it has enough internal cooling fans and stuff like that going on to keep the thing cool. But my point is, the SQ rack could have easily been the thing. It could have been the holy grail of rack mixers. And I just don't think it is, You could ditch the whole control surface. Explain to me this. Explain to me how it's a better idea to put a touch screen on the front of a mixer like the SQ rack, when you could just as easily, from an installer's point of view, you could just as easily download a dumbed down version of the control software onto an iPad mini and mount that in the rack with the core and the stage box in an install situation, and they can do all the same things with their iPad that they're doing with that screen on the front of the unit. I don't think that screen on the front of the unit, and Wing did the same thing, I don't think that screen is that big a deal, man. I mean, you know how many guys are out here with an M32C DL32 stage box that's making money week after week after week and have no controls over the console on the front of it? We connect an iPad to it, dude. That's the world we live in now. So you're eating up all this space on the front of the mixer that just doesn't need to be there. It just doesn't. You're not going to tell me that it's cheaper to put that thing on there, in the manufacturing process. It's absolutely not. So, I mean, come on, guys. You guys got to do better, man. This just is not hitting the mark. Yes, it's probably going to be super popular. Yes, there's a bunch of guys that are probably already got their money into Sweetwater, or Pro Audio Star, or Chuck Levins, or whoever their favorite, retailer is, and, pre-ordered the thing and can't wait to get it, and going to be all over, YouTube and Facebook raving about how it's the greatest thing in the world. Meanwhile, all of us, M32 guys are just going to kind of be sitting around like, yeah, man, but I mean, what is it bringing to the table that I don't already really have in my rig? I mean, the buzzers and the whistles that come with the SQ line just across the board is just icing on the cake of what M32 already does out of the box. I mean, I'm never in a situation where I feel like I need to use a bunch of plugins and stuff to get where I need to be with effects. And people rave about what we do constantly. I can't remember the last time anyone came to me and said they were unhappy with the mix outside of, Karen, who's sitting in front of the speakers and complained about it being too loud. My clients love what we bring to the table, and we keep it simple. We don't overprocess stuff. We don't, try to bring some kind of voodoo wizardry, to the table and use them as guinea pigs to, like, come on, dude, it's the middle market, man. You're not making that kind of money. Look, if I was on tour with the Foo Fighters or on tour with any number of national touring, acts, I would expect to be on a desk that gives me all those features because that's required on that level. But in the middle market, dude, you're mixing O'Malley's Irish Pub down the street, okay? You're mixing a 500 cap Moose Ballroom, you know what I'm saying? Or some Animal Circuit, ballroom or something or whatever. Like, I mean, you're at a day festival, a wine festival, where you just really only need to cover the first 80 feet in front of the stage, and most people are going to be sitting back behind the booth eating cheese and drinking wine. or drinking beer, you know, and eating tacos or whatever the case is, man, you know? Like, no one cares, you know? At what point do you check your ego with gear and say, hey, look, you know, this is what gets the job done and this is what makes me money. But like I said, if you got some kind of big time day job and you're just a weekend warrior and you know you don't care if you ever make money at this, well then man, have at it. Be that guy that shows up with 60, 70 grand worth of consoles at a, you know, $700 gig. If you're lucky. If you're lucky. I know a guy that totes around Digico consoles to just, you know, club gigs. I'm like, dude, you're making like $600 to $1,000 at the most on these gigs. But hey, if that's what you got in your inventory and you want to bring it out and you want to play with it, I ain't mad at you, you know. But that's someone who's not focused on ROI. That's someone who's focused on getting their ego stroked and all the oohs and ahs of all the sound guys that show up and like, oh man, look, he's using a Digico or he's using a D Live to mix, you know, in his bar band. Really? Sorry guys, I'm just not wired that way. You know, I'm about making money. In my world, success is gauged by how much money you have in the bank. How much money are you making? How much profit are you turning? That's what gauges success in my world. Take it for what it is. I really don't give a rip how you feel about it. Hit me up in the comments section, roast me. I don't care. You know, I'm so busy that it just doesn't matter to me. You know what I'm saying? It just really doesn't. You know, now if I had guys that were complaining that we weren't doing this or we weren't doing that, I would immediately take action to that because I listen to what my clients, you know, want and what they need. But that's never the case. That's never the case. So, you know, my long and short, in a nutshell, condensed opinion of the SQ rack is you are yet another manufacturer that missed the needs of the middle market sound guy. You just did. You know, really because of the I/O, you know, the in out. We need 32 by 16 guys, you know. If you want to use the thing for an ear mixer, which I think is probably where it's going to find its place most of the time, hey man, that's great. You know, these guys were roasting me over on the Behringer Wing review that I did because I had a lot of the same things to say about the Wing. Like, yeah, but man, now we're all stereo ears. Oh, really? Well, how's that working out for you? I mean, how big of a difference is your stereo ears at the local Moose Lodge making you feel on stage than mono ears? I intentionally run mono ears in my band just to keep it simple. You know, what are you even stereo imaging, dude? You know, think about that for a second. You're doing stereo because you can, because, you know, you're stroking your little ego and, you know, flexing your gear muscles there. Hey, we can run, you know, 16 stereo ears or 8 stereo ears or what, you know, dude, shut up. Who cares? No one cares, dude. No one sitting in the audience gives a rip whether or not you're running mono or stereo ears. They don't care if you're using in-ear monitors or if you're using wedges. They don't care. They don't care if you're mixing on a Mackie DL32 or an M32 or an SQ or a D Live or a freaking Heritage D. They don't care. They want you to play music that they like to dance to, music that they can recognize, and have fun with their friends. And it's like that at every gig that we do here in the middle market. Get it in perspective. You know, Allen Heath, if you're watching this, which God only knows if you are or not, dude, you missed it, man. You know, you had the opportunity to really make SQ a industry standard by coming out with just an all-in-one core and 32 by 16 in-out. I would probably buy one of those, man. I would probably start gravitating in that direction. You know, if that would have been the case. I'm sort of kind of anxious to get into the SQ thing. But it's got to make financial sense to me. And this doesn't make financial sense to me. Because why? I'm not going to throw all that money out because your stage box setups are freaking not very well thought out. At least not for guys like me. You know, like I said, I'm doing 170, 80 shows a year, dude. You know, I mean, people come and look at the gear that I'm using. I'm well established in my area. I'm in demand. You know, I'm the people. I just had a guy call me 30 minutes ago asking me my opinion on a singer that he's getting ready to hire for his band, because he heard that singer had a beef with me. And if she had a beef with me, then he wasn't going to hire her in her band. Because I'm the guy that they use for all their stuff. And he's like, dude, if they can't get along with you, they can't get along with anybody. People pay attention to what I do. People pay attention to the gear I use. People pay attention to the mixes I put out there. I take pride in everything we do. I would have loved to have been in the SQ ecosystem. I would love to have, you know, made that transition, or at least start slowly making that transition into that ecosystem. Dude, it's not even on my radar. Because here again, it's an epic fail with in-out. You know, we just can't, it's not compatible with what we're doing. I don't need a 48 channel console. You know, and I don't want to go buy two 16 channel boxes and then, you know, I hate using multiple stage boxes where the numbers repeat. So if you got two 16s, then you got two stage boxes that are numbered 1 through 16, then 1 through 16 again. I would rather have a stage box that's numbered 1 through 32 and then 1 through 16 out. Is that really asking too much? Am I really, you know, trying to ask for, you know, unicorns and fairy tales here? I mean, come on, guys. The 21st freaking century. We got robots on Mars, dude, cruising around cranking Whitesnake, and, you know, got Z-28 on the side of their freaking roaming Mars rover. I mean, come on, dude. Really? I don't know. I'm sure I'll get a lot of hate for this, because the SQ people are cult people the same as the wing people. I don't care, man. I'm just speaking the truth, dude. I'm speaking the reality of my world. And I know my world reflects a lot of other people in the middle market, because we got to stay conscious of the money, man, because if we're not making any money. We're starving to death. I hope that helps you, or probably frustrated you. I hope that helps you somehow in making a decision and whether or not you're going to go in that direction. If you do, I'm not mad at you. You know, if you already, you know, have put your pre-order in, hit me up in the comments. You know, blow the comments section up, guys. I mean, give me your opinions. Tell me where you're at. Tell me where you are as a full-time middle market guy who owns all his own inventory, and you tell me which direction you want to go. You want to go M32, DL32, or do you want to go SQ rack and then buy another stage box to get that where you want it to be? Not all you guys who are like freelance guys that don't own any gear and want to talk a big game, or if you work at a pro touring place and you're a warehouse manager or something, or you mix for your local church and someone else is paying for the gear but you. No, I'm talking to the guys like me out there. I own all my gear. Millions of dollars wrapped up in gear and trucks and all, the whole nine, the whole deal, dude. Multiple systems, 3 or 4, you know, independent systems ready to go out the door at any time. I'm talking to you. Which console are you going to go with? Which console meets your client's needs? That's all I'm saying. Did the SQ rack make you want to abandon whatever ecosystem you're in and go run into them? Look, I ain't claiming to know everything. I ain't claiming to have it all together. But I think I got a pretty good idea how to make money, and I got a pretty good track record of that. And it's not chasing the shiniest toy in the toy box on the market. It's just not. It's not, you know? So yeah, so that's our little grumpy rant for this week. It was nice to be outside today, guys. I know I opened the video with that, but man, I love being outdoors, especially where we live out here in West Virginia. It's such a beautiful area. I love how the snow is still on the ground, and yet it's still 40 couple degrees out here. Excuse the runny eyes and the runny nose and all that. That's all part of the season. I struggle with chronic sinus issues and that kind of stuff. So I hope this video blessed you somehow. You know, if it made you mad, I wasn't trying to make you mad. I'm just trying to be like, I'm trying to stimulate your thinking. There are literally hundreds of guys all over YouTube that are going to get on here and worship the SQ rack like it's the greatest thing since Jesus Christ himself. The same way the Behringer Rack guys did when that was released 2 months ago. I'm just trying to be the voice of reason here and not just fall in line with the popular opinion, but say, hey, maybe you should think about this from a budget standpoint. Maybe you should think about this from an IO standpoint. Is this really going to get you where you want to go? Look, if you're just getting into the business and you got a pile of money sitting there burning a hole in your pocket and you're not part of any ecosystem yet, the SQ line is a great ecosystem to start with, to get into. It's something that's probably going to be around for a good while. I haven't heard any major dependability issues with it. Allen Heath has a decent, track record for dependability. But they've had their issues and their problems just like everybody else. Like I said earlier, there are no holy cows or sacred cows, But be prepared to put out a bunch of money to really get to the channel count that you feel like you're going to need to be at to really put that thing to work for you. Now, if you're only going to do 3 and 4 piece rock bands your whole life, 16 channels will probably do it. Maybe put a patch bay in the front of your rack so you can get that stuff around the front of the rack. Hey, man, and good to go. Good to go. I'm not mad at you, But if you're in my situation where I already have 3 M32C DL32 setups, an M32 full-size live console, X32 rack with a DL32 stage box, I'm kind of invested deeply into that ecosystem. And look, I'm not someone who is so sold out to that I wouldn't leave that ecosystem, because I 100% would. But I got to feel like I'm stepping up into something that really hits my needs on the head the way the M32 has. And it needs to be rider friendly, and it needs to be something that, most touring sound engineers have a thumb drive. We call it a pocket thumb. They have a thumb drive with a start show file or a show file for their band for an M or X32. You cannot say that about SQ. You just can't. So there's that. Love you guys. I'll see you next week.